Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler and Jack Weinberger with a pretty fun episode today, guys. I'd say as we're the World Cup is over, so we're really into the dog days of summer now in the sports world. Just some baseball going on. Jack's very excited about his Pittsburgh Pirates. He wanted that in the rundown with them. You currently in the playoffs, right, Jack? If the season ended today?
Yeah, 100 games through, we're currently in the playoffs.
So
it's pretty. It's. I'm getting excited.
There was no response. There was no response to Jack saying, "Let's put the Pirates in the rundown." So that's the mention right there. But when we get into September, October, maybe towards the end of an episode, the Pirates are making a run. We'll see a little more of them. Ziggy, I'm having a very rare, almost not mid-afternoon, like evening coffee almost during this recording. I felt like I need a little pick me up for the episode this evening, which I'm very excited to hear. You have you said you had an all-time rant.
Yeah, I don't need a pick-me-up because I'm fired up for this.
Yeah, and I have no idea what it's actually about. I asked Ziggy last night, guys. I said, Ziggy, just in terms of general structure of the show, typically we like to know, what we're talking about. And he said, you don't need to know. I have it, and you'll react to it as it goes. So it's like, okay, you call the shots, man. So Ziggy, what's got you so fired up?
So Paul, I just want you to imagine. So in 2027, the Super Bowl is going to be held in Los Angeles, right? Let's imagine a lot of people are expecting the Rams to go. Let's imagine it's the Rams versus the Bills, right? And at 3 a.m. before the Super Bowl, this is a weird Super Bowl. It starts at like 9. At 3 a.m. in the morning, the LAPD are banging on Josh Allen's hotel room. This hotel room didn't have air conditioning. It's infested with bugs because LA decided who gets hotel rooms, and they're banging on the door. They wake him up and they say, "We got to take blood for a doping test." How do you think NFL fans would feel if they were drug testing Josh Allen at 3 a.m. while he's trying to get some sleep right before the Super Bowl?
Furious, rightfully furious, I'd say.
Justified.
So at the Tour de France this year, a couple of days ago, 2 a.m. Jonas Vingegaard, he's just completed one of the hardest stages in the Tour. He's got another hard one. He had to drive 3 hours after the stage. Stage visit at 6. He probably can't get to sleep until 11:30 midnight. They wake him up at 2 a.m., say, "Sorry, buddy, you got a blood test." Blood test takes an hour. It's the French police. Of course, none of the French riders are tested at 2 a.m. Pogacar's tested at 5 a.m. And then they say, "All right, buddy, go race." Jonas Vingegaard says, "I get a couple hours of sleep." He's exhausted out on the road. It's 90 degrees. He couldn't sleep in his hotel room. And he crashes. He loses some focus. He had some traffic furniture that wasn't signed and crashes. I just have to say, I know that there's like some need for sport integrity or whatever, and people worry about cycling, but it's ridiculous what they're doing to these guys. Like, can you imagine?
Is that standard practice?
Drug testing guys at 2 in the freaking morning in the middle of competition.
Now, this is interesting, Z, because I bet a lot of people, we're going to get to more football stuff. It's very quickly here, but that is pretty unbelievable. Is that standard in cycling?
No, it's against the rules, actually.
No,
but
they're
doing it anyway.
Does that has this happened more than one time where they're doing this for
no one has ever
French
heard of this happening before.
Okay, so this is the first time to our knowledge that this has happened.
Yeah, they went to a judge. They got a warrant to bang on the hotel rooms of the non-French top riders in the morning and blood dope them.
Yeah, I mean it's blatantly.
Wow,
it's blatantly. It seems like it's
like action taken or something like a.
Well, this is. I mean, cycling is a different sport than some others. Like in the NFL, you got a players' union. In FIFA, the players have some power, right? Like, can you imagine?
I wouldn't use
FIFA
Argentina, as
Spain?
I wouldn't use
no,
FIFA
but even in FIFA, right? Do you think FIFA, like Wada would be afraid to bang on Messi's door at 3 a.m. right before the World Cup final and say, "Hey, buddy, we got to submit you to a blood test"? They'd never do it.
Ridiculous.
But for cycling, it's okay.
Well, that's why we don't watch cycling. It's ridiculous
so
sports, obviously. Yeah, that's why none of us watch it. It's
like, yeah, I get it. A lot of people don't care.
Not helping
but
the case
there are human rights violations happening in the sport of cycling right now.
No, that's obviously ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
No, you're totally right that if you were to compare this to the NFL or NBA, whatever, a more mainstream sport, could you imagine the segments on television today if like you said, Josh Allen was woken up before the Super Bowl or LeBron James, the NBA Finals? It would be a week straight. I mean, it'd be all summer.
Yeah, and we have no idea who's making these decisions, who decides that this is okay. Like,
when was this?
I'm not trying to sound like Lance Armstrong out here, but the anti-doping agencies are out of control, and someone has got to figure out how to.
It's good that you're standing up for the sport. Ziggy. You're representing.
I'm a podcast.
The entire sport of cycling. Yeah,
you should like reach out to someone, try to make this.
That'll be my last act on the Paul Farrington show is going to be making a change in how doping tests happen at the Tour de France.
No, I mean you got to one of the most powerful podcasters in the world is making a stand against the clear injustice. So good for you.
Hey, Paul, you think you can get this segment on what's right?
Nick would probably find it interesting. I'll shoot you over. I'll shoot you over Nick's number. And you guys can talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so later on today, we're gonna hit. That was actually really interesting, Ziggy. I had no idea that happened. That's ridiculous.
Like that's like a no sort
teams
of
under the most pressure.
What's up?
What are you saying, Jack?
No. I was saying just like I'm surprised I haven't heard that. Like that wasn't on any sort of.
It's weird. We'll do teams under the most pressure, and we're gonna hit 4 different buckets. The team under the most pressure to just win in general. I saw an article on this. I can't remember what website. I just found it interesting. We'll do AFC and NFC, most general, under pressure to win, to make the playoffs, to go on a playoff run, and then to win the Super Bowl. So that'll be coming up a little bit later. Colston Loveland was on Bussin with the Boys. I've actually met those guys out in San Francisco this year.
You mean
really nice dudes? Were you? I don't know if you were.
Sure.
Well, I don't think you were there when we met them. You had left.
I was there. I was.
No, you left the party because that's when
I was absolutely there. Jack, can you believe it? Paul's trying to take all the credit for himself. Like, Ziggy wasn't there.
I was there too.
In San Francisco. In San Francisco, Jack was not there. Ziggy left the party, and at the end of the party, you saw the guys, but at the end of the party, me and Matt walked up. My brother went up to Taylor Lewan and said hello, and I said to him, I think he had recently. That's when they did the interview with Mike McDonald, and they asked over and over and over again if it was 4th and goal or 2nd and goal, whatever, from the 1 yard line, would you throw the football? And eventually Mike McDonald actually got mad. And we went up to Taylor and I just said, that was a hysterical bet. Like that was one of my favorite things you guys have done. And he starts saying he's like, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. And he froze mid-sentence, looked at my brother and went, dude, that is some sick lettuce, man. Holy crap.
No, he was looking at me when he said that.
and I just remember the look on my brother's face. He's like, what? And Taylor Lewan just looks at him again. He's like, dude, your hair is unbelievable. And Matt, Matt kind of just
why would he say that about Matt when he was saying that about me, Paul?
Ziggy's realizing in real time that he actually left the party. I know you left the party early. He said, I'm going to head out of here. And then me and Matt.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're taking credit for being the only one to meet the Bussin with the Boys podcast here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
so that was pretty funny, but Colston Loveland went on the show and had some fun comments about the Packers-Bears rivalry that we'll talk about a little bit later on. But we're going to start here. So there was actually some pretty big NFC North news, some big Packers news that just broke a little bit before we started recording. Devonte Wyatt signs a 3-year, $57 million extension with Green Bay, $20 million signing bonus. It's coming off a year where he fractured his fibula and had torn ligaments in his ankle. Like the Thanksgiving game against the Lions, that ended his season after 10 games. That's got to be painful. I mean, if it fractured ankle and fibula, that's or torn ligaments in his ankle. No, that's painful.
I don't think it hurts that much. I think it seems fine.
Yeah. So Ziggy, I'll kick it to you first. I'll kick it to you first here, Ziggy. Devonte Wyatt has been someone in Green Bay that when he's on the field is really productive, one of the best interior pass rushers in football. He's just not on the field very often for him. He's missed 10 regular season games in the past 2 years. As far as the value of this contract for Green Bay, do you think that this was something they had to do to lock him up?
I think if you can get him to sign this contract, this is a great deal for Green Bay. Many people will see like $60 million and think that's a lot of money, but you have to keep in mind, Jeffrey Simmons signed an extension this offseason for $35 million a year, right? That number that he's getting paid puts him at around 20, slightly above 20 in terms of interior defensive tackles getting paid. So all you need out of him in order for this contract to be good is some productivity. And when he played, not only was he really effective next to Micah Parsons. In 10 games, he had 4 sacks, some pass breakups, a bunch of tackles. He showed in 23 and 24 he can be very productive too. Like Green Bay, they have very little talent on the defensive line. Devonte Wyatt, when he played, was a huge difference maker for them. You can't let him walk, and this gives the Packers an affordable deal that keeps him in town. And things like a fractured fibula and torn ligaments, I don't expect that to repeat. That's most of his missed games the past couple of years. I think this is great value for Green Bay, and I'm sorry that we're going to have to see him in the division for a while.
Anya, we know the injuries the Packers had last year, and for me, this one always just fly. Like I'm thinking like
totally flew under the radar.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, like Kraft was injured, blah blah blah. This one totally flew under the radar, and like this Green Bay defense too. Now with Micah Parsons out for probably what 8-9 weeks, as well.
Yeah,
right. Like you gotta like I think this would be a very good move for Green Bay if he does sign the contract.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping that he gets on the field here. And you never want to like play out in your head with these deals. You know, what if he gets hurt again? It has to be factored into it. But as far as Green Bay is concerned, you know, I think a lot of people talked about this team for the past couple of years about just being the youngest team in football, right? Everyone on this team was kind of just a kid, right? Most of them. And you're seeing them enter into most of them in the primes of their careers right now. So one of the weakest points on the Packers' entire roster is defensive tackle. Another one, well, other fans are concerned about cornerback, right? But cornerback and D tackle is probably where most fans are turning to saying that could be the position that gets us this year. And if you remove Devonte Wyatt from the occasion, and that's a pretty bare room. I mean,
it's the Javon Hargrave show.
Yeah, it's the Javon Hargrave show, and that's already putting a lot of faith into Javon Hargrave.
Hargrave,
so you need
Hargrave's a beast.
You need Devonte Wyatt there. Go ahead, Ziggy.
Hargrave.
I was say, Jack, when you were watching the Vikings last year, because you saw some Viking games, you thought this team is terrible. And Javon Hargrave was at the top of terribly disappointing Vikings. And number one, there's no other player more disappointing.
Yeah, Packers fans will argue that he was being misused with Flores, and now you gets back in with Jonathan Gannon.
Is that the same Hargrave on the Steelers?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's awesome. Like you go to the Vikings and it's like, oh, you stink.
He was early. I mean, he's older. He's an older player now, and that's the Packers' big free agent signing. But I love the move still though. Again, because you have a window right now if you're Green Bay over the next what? I mean, it'll probably be Jordan Love's career, honestly, if he stays playing the level he has. But the real
this core's window's 2 or 3 years.
This core window right here, probably 2 or 3 years, like you said, and you lock in Hargrave for. We'll see the contract details, but he should be there for the long run now. And you have to think that if you have so many bites at the apple, eventually one season Green Bay will have a deep postseason run, and one season guys will all stay healthy. Usually just injury luck doesn't, unless you're the 49ers, you don't really get hammered down by those year after year. So I really like the deal for Green Bay. I think it's one they had to make too. But Ziggy, you threw in the rundown here. You know, Isaiah McDuffie came out and he said the Packers have everything they need for a deep playoff run. And I have a hard time. The question is, you know, have the Packers actually done enough to go on a deep run in 2027, or do they need another big addition? And what's difficult for me when addressing that question is that they clearly have enough, right? When last season, when they were good or when they were healthy, they were one of the best teams in football. But I still feel like across multiple positions, you know, you're asking for St. Juice or Cisse, right? You're asking for the cornerback room for someone to elevate. You're asking for Jonathan Hargrave to turn back the clock. You're asking for a bunch of guys to return from injury and play at a high level, perhaps, you know, the highest level of their career. You're asking Jordan Morgan to step in at left tackle for the first time in his career for a full season. There's a lot of what ifs. And if all of them work out, like clearly this team is going to be really, really good. But do you think as it currently stands that this, like what's your confidence meter on the 2026 Packers?
You know, going into 2024, we were talking about Matt LaFleur and how he just was borderline unbeaten in December.
Yeah.
It's been rough the past 2 years. They went 1-3 in 2025, 2-2 in 2024. And McDuffie pointed this out, right? He said, we need to finish the games late in the season. We've got to keep things going. It's all about finishing. And what I would like to see from Green Bay this year, I'm not sure they need any huge additions at this point, but at the midseason trade deadline, there's always guys who are going for a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, 5th round pick. They can be productive contributors and just get some fresh legs in the building, right? We've seen teams make those acquisitions year after year, and random guys can help propel you further into the playoffs. I think that it would make a lot of sense. I know Green Bay loves their draft picks, but I think they have to start being aggressive with the assets they have. And I don't think that needs to be a July thing. But at some point this year, the Packers have a lot of position groups that are vulnerable to injury, and something's going to hit. I'd like to see them be a little bit more aggressive.
But maybe that's something that'll happen. Yeah, after
you say it's
someone
all
gets
about
hurt.
finishing, Ziggy. You say it's all about finishing.
Maybe that's something though.
I'm just repeating what McDuffie said.
Yeah, I think that's something where maybe after someone goes down, you'll see them make a move. But I mean, Ziggy, they just trade for Micah Parsons. Like they just use.
No, they didn't. They didn't just trade for Micah Parsons. They traded for Micah Parsons a year ago.
Sure. I'm just saying, like, I think Green Bay has been more aggressive
last
than
year. Their
usual.
Receiver core was absolutely ruined, and you could have gotten Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. People have struggled with linebackers. Like there are always players moving, and I just don't understand. I get that you want
an ultra aggressive mindset.
You don't have to be stupid, but the Packers have been conservative at the trade deadline every year, and it hasn't been good for them.
So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. I think it's a good signing with Wyatt here. As far as the Packers roster, certainly talented enough, but you're going to have a couple guys step up. Okay, back to the biggest. So the main topic on today's show, the team's under pressure here. I'll start off with to win in general. This was going to be producer Zach, who should be back with us pretty soon. Once we get his camera and his microphone set up.
And how's this work, Paul? Are we taking just one team, or are we doing
we'll do an AFC and an NFC team. We won't go crazy with it, but I think that's a good way to get more teams involved in this year. So teams under most pressure. I'll start with the in general. Jack will do to make the playoffs, Ziggy to go on a deep playoff run, and then me to win the Super Bowl. In general, in the NFC, I'll go with the Giants, guys. Second worst record in football over the past 5 years. The only team worse is their other New Jersey team, the Jets. You're the New York Giants here. The other teams on that list are the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the perpetual losers kind of our lifetimes. Giants have won 2 Super Bowls since all of us have been born here. That's not how things typically run for Big Blue. And Giants fans were really happy with Jaxson Dart last year, Cam Scatterboom, Malik Neighbors, assuming they could get back healthy. Some good weapons there. Defensively, you love adding Arvell Reese, right? They get Tremaine Edmonds. Like there's some moves here that you can be excited about if you're a Giant fan. And the big one is bringing in John Harbaugh. So I don't think that making the playoffs has to be a requirement for New York in year one here. But if the Giants are picking top 5 again, there are going to be a lot of fans who are scratching their heads saying, like, what's going on with this? Like, what is the direction of this team? Like, where are we? How is this continuing to happen? Because it feels like they should, at the very least, be making some progress. Do you guys like the Giants as a team under pressure to win?
Yeah, so this was, to clarify, this was to win.
This was just to get
to win some games. Like a good team.
Yeah, to be a competent football team.
I mean, I had the Giants as a playoff team last year, and I still do this year. So I'd say it's a good one. I mean, Jaxson Dart now year 2. You bring in John Harbaugh. I think the Giants they killed the draft, probably the best draft of all 32 teams.
I think it would just be such a disappointment for them if you have another.
Yeah, everybody's saying now, it's like, okay, our star Neighbors was hurt last year. Now he's back. It's Jaxson Dart, no longer a rookie. It's a new head coach who has great success in terms of getting teams to the playoffs. And you had arguably a top 2 or 3 draft out of all the 32 teams in the league.
At this point,
no, I'm expecting to win 7 to 9 games.
Like, if you don't at this point, like, what's the excuse, right? You can't say it's the receiver talent. You can't say it's the quarterback talent. You can't say it's the defense.
Well,
you can't even really say it's the offensive line.
Well, it could be. I'm not sold on Jaxson Dart.
If Jaxson Dart is like awful, like if he's just terrible and not good, but that's not.
But if Jaxson Dart looks terrible, I'm gonna say Harbaugh. You had a guy who looked promising last year and you couldn't get it done. What's wrong with you? Like if Jaxson Dart, like last year, he threw for like 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like he looked good when he played. If he looks really bad next year, that's a failure of the organization. He needs to take a step forward, and you should be able to expect that.
Oh no, he needs to, but I'm not sold he's going to do that. But
I'm saying if he doesn't, There's no excuse for that as a team.
Like, I don't know, because I don't know if there's no excuse. I'm just not, Jaden Daniels taking a big step back. That's a bigger problem to me than Jaxson Dart. Like last year, Jaden Daniels being hurt, and the year he had, that was much worse for me. And he got injured, so you can't. It happens. But to me, like Jaden Daniels, you saw MVP level play. Jaxson Dart had some good moments, but I didn't walk away from a Giants game going like, oh yeah, he is certainly the future of the team. I think it'd be disappointing if he didn't work out. I don't know if I'd call it a failure. But one thing, like, did you guys see Cam Scadaboo doing the backflip at Fanatics Fest in New York?
Oh, yeah, where he said, if they say I don't have a brain, I don't care. And then he does something that shows he obviously doesn't have a brain.
It's just like Logan Paul and Tom Brady beefing. Is that real?
No, I mean, that's all staged.
That's staged.
But yes, the whole Scadaboo thing, it's like, the lasting image of him from the last year was his ankle turned sideways being carted off a field. And then at Fanatics Fest, he's falling doing backflips. And he's coming out saying, like, I'll be fine. And Jaxson Dart saying, it's the most explosive I've seen him. I know he's trying to play it off. But that's exactly why you're bringing John Harbaugh in here, is because who's running the show on this offense? It's a bunch of immature kids right now. That's really what it is in New York. Like, defensively, if you want to talk about Brian Burns being a leader, sure, right? But I like Malik Neighbors, Scadaboo, Dart. I just don't know those guys what their maturity level is right now. And for the Giants to take the step that they need to, I think Harbaugh's got a pretty big challenge on his hand in terms of like reeling that in and saying, like, don't do backflips when you're recovering from a fractured ankle. Like, are you out of your mind? So I am curious to see how that works. I think Harbaugh does a great job with player management. And it doesn't seem like those are the kind of guys that are unwilling to be, in some shape molded, right, by a legendary head coach. It was just like, I saw that flip and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be so pissed off seeing that. Like, they're fun dudes. Certainly, I'd love to get a beer with Scadaboo and Jaxson Dart, but I don't want my, franchise guys messing around when they're injured like that. It'd be like Jaxson Dart running into a brick wall after all the concussions last year.
Yeah, but Harbaugh too, though, like he's a coach that players will take seriously.
Yeah, and you need that there.
Like, especially
maybe Ravens players didn't. They thought he was a bum and wanted him gone.
But that was after a while.
After a long time.
That was after a long time. Like, I'm saying, these young Giants players, Harbaugh's somebody they will take very seriously.
I don't know. Remember when Jaxson Dart and Abdul Carter got in a spat and John Harbaugh organized a meeting to help clear the air and Abdul Carter didn't show up?
I'm
just saying, this is a tricky locker room to navigate. There's a lot of people that have been doing a lot of dumb things this offseason. Jaxson Dart and Cam Scadaboo included. Like, they've got to figure it out.
As it stands right now, they're a locker room to keep your eyes on as far as how together they're going to be. The second team too, so we don't have to go that long on everyone, but the second team, the AFC team to win in general, I was between two. The Raiders were one of them. But I think
don't pick the Raiders because I'm pissed off at Maxx Crosby.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. I didn't pick the Raiders because in year one of Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins is there right now. You definitely want them to be better, big spenders in free agency too. But I think there's a little more pressure on the Tennessee Titans to just take that step from, bottom 5 team in the league to again, competency. And there's a lot of pressure on Cam Ward to take a next step where if he doesn't, if he regresses this season, Titans fans are going to be freaking out, like going, all right, what are we going to do here? And as last season, as we move through last season, the first 11 or 12 games of the season, they were 1-11. The only game they won was the Amari DiMercato fumble into the end zone against the Cardinals when they had just the ridiculous blow up in Arizona.
That was absurd.
Yeah, remember that? Like, that game ended the Cardinals season.
We watched it at your house. I remember that.
I remember me and you were our jaws were on the floor. And that was the only game the Titans won in their first 12. And during that stretch, Cam Ward had 7 touchdowns, 6 picks. Over the final 4 games, he was 2-2 playing in them. He had 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 3 of his top 5 passer rating games of the season. So a lot of growth in those that final fourth of the season. They don't need to be a playoff team by any means, but just elevate across the board with Robert Saleh, Brian Dable, better coaches there. They get Carnell Tate, which is an exciting young playmaker. They're the team that I think in the AFC needs to take the jump up the competency.
Yeah, this is a team too who just did a complete overhaul of their coaching staff
and their roster. I mean, big spenders in free agency too.
Yeah. Who they bought him? Who Wan'Dale Robinson they bought him? But I mean, Brian Dable, Robert Saleh, like totally brand new. Cam Ward in the second year. I'm leaning on rookies. Like I really am. Like if you have a bad rookie season, that jump from the pros or from college to the pros is a lot bigger than people give it credit for, in my opinion. But now your second year, the excuses are less. As the years go on, the excuses are less to me. Now you have a new coach, totally new coaching staff. Carnell Tate, top 5 pick. Wan'Dale Robinson, who's probably going to be your top slot receiver, right? And a second-year quarterback in Cam Ward. This team shouldn't be 3-14.
The Titans have won 6 games since I predicted them to win the AFC South in 2024. It's pretty tough. No, look, Cam Ward has made clear who he thinks is to blame, right? In all of these press interviews he's been doing, he's been talking about how I wish I had Brian Dable last year. I'm learning so much. I just didn't feel like there was anyone helping me last year. He's basically said all my problems last year were head coach Brian Callahan's fault. So, like, that's throwing down the gauntlet, right? Like,
and he's blamed himself. I thought he's blamed himself. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. Obviously, he's taken some responsibility, but that's the explanation he's given for why last year went bad. So we'll see this year. The offense should be better. And it's not like Cam Ward's season was terrible last year. I mean, it wasn't Bryce Young level. He's shown that he can play football on a football field. All right. I still have some confidence in him, but you're right that next year's got to be the year where we start seeing it.
Ziggy.
We've been spoiled over the past few years where Jane Daniels and CJ Stroud have 2 of the best rookie seasons of all time. And you kind of forget, like, Jack, you talk about the big jump from college to professional. Like, it's not normal for guys to come out and be Pro Bowl caliber players or all pro, right? Like playoff.
Not everyone can be Shadur Sanders.
No, I'm serious though. It's like we've gotten to a point with quarterbacks, especially rookies, where people say, I remember Colin came out and said it's like the voice. You know a good singer when you hear one. In football, like you know a good quarterback when you see one, but guys develop. Like Sam Darnold didn't start playing good football till a couple of years ago. It's like it takes a while. Some people aren't good at their jobs when they're 22, 23 years old. They need to figure some things out. Like the impatience that people have, and I get it, right? Everyone wants to win, and there's examples of guys who win immediately. So even if Cam Ward just has he doesn't even need to be what Caleb did last year, the Caleb jump. If he just makes progress, then going into year 3, like, all right, by the end of year 3, I feel like you really have a better understanding, but certainly he needs to make some upward progression.
And I don't think that's something like that's given enough credit for, is just how big that jump is.
No, and everyone talks about it. That's one thing everyone agrees about.
Even with number 1 picks. It's like, like Cam Moore's going and lighting up Syracuse and Pitt. He's going to be awesome next year. I mean, it's just
go do it against the go do it against the Eagles now.
And then people are upset when he's doesn't have a great rookie year, but it's like give him some time.
Jack, to reach the playoffs, who's under the most pressure? AFC, NFC.
From AFC, NFC. All right, so I'll go. I'm going to go AFC first, and that to me is definitely the Ravens. After missing it last year, again the favorite to win the AFC North. Ravens or Bengals, maybe.
I think the Bengals are a better fit.
One of those AFC North teams, but if Baltimore misses the playoffs,
they missed it last year
as a favorite, especially with Lamar now getting criticized and scrutinized as well for last season. Like if he misses it again,
I think with the
Cincinnati
Ravens,
though too is Cincy is if you miss it now with Joe Burrow healthy, you just wasted Joe Burrow's entire career.
Well, I'll say this: if either the Ravens or the Bengals miss the playoffs, I think there's a real chance their quarterback gets traded.
Well, yeah, I think I'd go one of those AFC North teams. I'd go the Ravens and the Bengals. It's hard for me to decide.
I think given the
let's throw the Ravens in there.
Yeah, I think
that's who Jack wants.
Sure. No, I'm sharing. I think with Baltimore, I'd almost be more willing to put them in the has to go on a deep run. category for myself.
Yeah, they missed the playoffs last year, though.
No, I know. And that's the thing. Like you forget they missed the playoffs since he's been 3 years. It's been 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, since he's like, and now like Joe Burrow's healthy. And remember, since last year was like when Burrow came back, they were catching up a little bit. Like if he's healthy the entire season and Cincinnati doesn't make the playoffs, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah, we'll go with the Ravens there. And you're totally right. If they miss it with year one of Jesse Minter, you could come out and be like, okay, it's year one of the new head coach, but that's not going to fly when you have a two-time.
You have Lamar Jackson. Like if Lamar Jackson misses the playoffs 2 years in a row in the AFC North, where they're favored pretty heavily both years, that doesn't look good.
You're done.
All right, who's in the NFC?
NFC, I'm going Dallas. I mean, NFC, again, Dallas missed the playoffs last year. And
I love that.
Like with the Cowboys too, just because it's the Dallas Cowboys, expectations are always super high. Like you have to be in the play. It's like the New York Yankees. Like missing the playoffs is horrendous. And they did it last year. And like there's also a lot of questions too around the Cowboys too. Like if they miss the playoffs this year, I think some major changes are going to be made. Like there's
it could be the end of Dak Prescott.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, like
one team in the NFC East that I actually think has more pressure to make the playoffs next year, though, is the Commanders.
Washington,
Washington's right there. It's easy to forget they've made the playoffs twice since 2015, and one was when they made it 7 and 9. Yeah, and the other was the NFC Championship game. Like if Dan Quinn can't get this team to the playoffs of year 3, Jaden Daniels, we'll be looking at Jaden Daniels' rookie season as an aberration. We'll be looking at Dan Quinn as a coach looking for a new job. Like there's a lot of pressure in Washington after going 5-12 last year to prove that 12-5 wasn't a fluke.
It's hard to feel like it wasn't a fluke right now at this point in time. Like what a weird swing.
If you're Washington too now and you make the NFC Championship and then you miss the playoffs, Daniels gets hurt, and then you miss it again, it's like crap. Was that a flash in the pan?
Do you remember at the time we were talking about them, the 12-5 after the 12-5 year? People are coming out like, oh, this team, like maybe they win 13 games a season. Jane's the number 5 quarterback. And I'm pretty sure on our show, we came out and said like, guys, slow down for a second. 12-5 is 12-5 is an amazing season. You win the division 7 or 8 times out of 10 if you have 12 wins. They just got unlucky that Philly, had an all-time or just a loaded roster, a Super Bowl roster.
I think Dallas though, like with like that whole coaching staff kind of under fire right now. If you miss the playoffs again back-to-back years as the Dallas Cowboys, that's the team with the most pressure in my eyes.
Dak's making $60 million a year.
Yeah,
you're the best receiving duo in football.
Yes, and you miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. All
right, Ziggy, that takes us to go on a playoff run.
So for the AFC here, I'm going to go with a team that I think many people have lower expectations for, but I think this is fair to say. I think the Houston Texans are a team under an enormous amount of pressure to make.
You're all over them this year.
Well, we've focused a lot on head coach, but I'll tell you who's feeling a lot of pressure to make a playoff run in Houston. It's CJ Stroud. We've said it a million times. We know this defense is going to be elite, but look at what's happened for them the past 2 years. They've made the playoffs. The last 3 years, they've made the playoffs. They've won a game. And then they've gone and faced a good opponent and had been absolutely wiped. The floor's just been taken out from under them and the season's collapsed. Mm-hmm. You can't keep doing that. CJ Stroud wants an extension. Of course he does. He wants to get paid. He needs to play better. The coaching staff, they want to show that they belong in the AFC, that they're a real contender, that they can win a cupcake division every year. But that's not good enough. Houston, it's not enough to make the playoffs anymore. And if they go 1-1 and get bounced again, it's going to be a huge disappointment. They need to make the AFC Championship game, and I really think anything other than making the Super Bowl will feel like a huge disappointment given the rest of the strength of this roster.
Whoa, anything other than the Super Bowl?
What about
then making the Super Bowl?
Then making this
AFC Championship game.
I think just getting past Lamar, Allen, or Mahomes, whichever one of those teams is their divisional opponent, right? I think that has to be done in Houston this year. Because it's starting to feel like it just won't happen.
What they're looking for is a combination of the current last year's defense and rookie CJ Stroud.
Well, if they get that, they can win the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's what has to happen in in Houston. But I like this pick, Ziggy. I mean, a team who's been to the playoffs consistently but hasn't gotten out of the first round. You can say the same thing with the Steelers.
Second round. They go to the second round every year.
Right, second round.
They lose.
That's what makes it even worse. You win
a
playoff game every year against like the Browns, and then you go and face the Ravens or something.
And they can't beat that upper echelon tier of teams in the AFC.
But another thing for them is they consistently go on the road in that second game, right? And when you're playing in Baltimore, in Buffalo, in Kansas City, those are some of the best home field advantages in football. You're playing outdoors. It's cold weather games. In Houston, you're in the dome, right? And then obviously you have your crowd, which I think the Texans crowd is actually probably underrated. If Houston, last year they didn't even win their division, right? And they still got there. Thanks in part to maybe getting the Steelers. It was the perfect formula for last season, right? Getting the Steelers in the wild card round, and then the Texans go and lose the divisional round in a cold weather game on the road. They need to win the division and be a 1 or 2 seed. I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously, but it's so difficult to beat these stud quarterbacks. And Drake May last year was a stud quarterback. He was second in MVP. They need to have a year where they're like 13-4, or what were they last year? 12-5. Yeah, they need to be like 13-4 and get the second round at home.
They're capable of that.
Well, they get a lot of tiebreaker games, right? They open the season against the Bills. They're going to get to play, they get to play some of these best teams in the AFC. They've got to get it done against them in the regular season.
Well, remember
when
what
they
happened
play the Ravens, they've got to get it done and get those tiebreakers.
Remember what happened when they played Buffalo at home on Thursday Night Football? It was
unbelievable.
And that's like one of the best defensive games I've ever seen. This year, they have Buffalo. So they have Buffalo at home. They have Cincinnati at home. They have Baltimore at home as well. So
you have to win those games, and you can get the tiebreakers.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Who is the NFC team?
No one's going to be surprised to hear this. It's the Green Bay Packers.
It's a good
pick. Look,
it's a good pick.
It's like I'm describing the Houston Texans, except they don't even win the wild card game. And even compared to the Texans, I think all the pressure in the world is on LaFleur and Jordan Love to do something. I understand that some Packers fans feel this way, but at a certain point, if you're a fan of the Packers, I think you have to be tired of hearing about how great Jordan Love played in a close loss to the Bears or a close loss to the Eagles, how you got screwed by the refs, a close loss to the 49ers. They were such a good team in 2023. You've won one playoff game since 2020. It was a great win in Dallas in 2023 when everyone counted you out. And other than that, you've been the 7th seed going on the road and losing every other year. That just won't work in Green Bay. Jordan Love is trying to prove he's a borderline top 5 quarterback rather than analytics darling. Matt LaFleur is trying to prove that he won't choke every single lead he gets. Jonathan Gannon is trying to prove that the Arizona Cardinals are one of the most inept organizations in football. Everyone's got something to prove, and the only way you can prove it is by winning a couple playoff games.
And last year, too, remember the Green Bay started the season where this team's going to win the Super Bowl.
So good.
What they have when healthy is capable of doing so. And that's what's frustrating. The Steelers, for example, get into the playoffs, I'm happy. You sign up for a first round loss, whatever. But Green Bay, Green Bay is capable of going to a Super Bowl. They're good enough to do that. And it reminds me of Dallas in a sense. With the coaching staff and LaFleur, kind of under some scrutiny now. It's when can you go and win that playoff game? When can you be what Green Bay is expected to be with the talent they have?
They're the only option for this one. It's them and maybe Detroit. Is Detroit was that the other team you were thinking, Ziggy?
Yeah, but it's not even close.
No, because you look across the board, and I think the NFC is pretty easy to designate. Okay, they're a team that needs to take the step to the Super Bowl. They're a team that needs to take the step to the conference championship game. In Green Bay, obviously all Packers fans want to win the Super Bowl. And obviously that should be the goal of this team. They're talented enough for that. But as far as what bucket they fall into in this hypothetical, in this game, basically that we're playing, yeah, it's all right. Get past that wild card game. Pretty much that's 2 for 2 years has stalled. That's where you've stalled out.
And again, similar to Houston, though, Green Bay's had to go on the road.
Yeah. Well, they have to get to the divisional round this year. I think that you still your goals are still higher. It's still championship game, Super Bowl. But if it's a failure of a year if they lose in the wild card,
I think
whether or not they win the division.
But I think to do that, they probably have to win the division.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. All these NFC teams you go on the road to are brutal.
Yeah,
I think you have to win the division.
Unless you get the NFC South.
Unless you're playing the Buccaneers.
You can get the 5 and go to the Buccaneers, yeah. But
you go in that. But no, you're right. I just think Packers fans will be like, does LaFleur get fired if they lose a wild card game again as a wild card?
I think team? You say we have to change something, and it can't
probably.
be Jordan Love. So I think it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, you might get to it might be the McDermott thing. Like I'm thinking in that locker room, as much as guys like him and think he's a smart play caller and offensive mind, like what's the answer next year if the Packers lose on the wild card? You're not getting rid of Jordan Love in all likelihood unless he flames out, but it might be LaFleur. That's another conversation we could have for another day. LaFleur standing. To win the Super Bowl, I had, guys, it's funny. I actually had what?
Rams? Isn't Rams the only option?
No, so the Rams are my number 2 in the NFC. They would be my number 1 if they just won it a couple of years ago. That's one thing. Like I do feel like there's a little less pressure given that they have Stafford and McVay, like this crew, they have a Super Bowl. But yeah, given Stafford's age, right, and then that too that they're being called a super team, they are truly Super Bowl or bust. The other one, the team that I actually think is under the most pressure to win a Super Bowl, I'm gonna go with the 49ers in this spot. And you like that, Ziggy? Good call.
I love that.
And they're a team that I don't think they're better than the Rams, but they've been in the past 5 years, right? Or in the Shanahan era, 2 Super Bowls, 2 other conference championship games. Brock Purdy, your guy, right? Who's been very, very efficient quarterback. We can say that. But surrounding him,
top 5 producing quarterback in the NFL.
Surrounding him are all these superstars.
Who,
for so long, we've talked about they're aging, they're injury prone. Bosa's coming back from injury. Kittle's coming back from an Achilles. Michael Williams coming back from an ACL. Fred Warner, the ankle. Mike Evans, right? Great addition. He had his worst season of his career last year. First time in his career he's been really seriously injured. He's coming back. Trent Williams and McCaffrey. Can they stay healthy, right? McCaffrey turns 30 this year, and we all know the drop-off that most running backs have when they hit that number. So this super talented group that has been super successful in everything other than winning the trophy, right? They've been as close as you could possibly get. They lose in overtime to Kansas City. This is the end of this window. And as someone who's not, I like Brock Purdy, but I think he needs a strong supporting cast around him to be able to go on a deep run. I don't think he's someone who's going to elevate the team the way Josh Allen can. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, Josh Allen, notable for going on lots of deep runs and making lots of Super Bowls.
He's gone on a lot of deep runs. If you take Josh Allen off the Bills, I think
he was really elevating in Denver last year. Yeah.
Come on, man. If you take Josh Allen off the Bills, you take Mahomes off the Chiefs, they're a lot different looking teams than if you take Brock Purdy out the Niners. Mac Jones went and beat the Rams last year with as the starting quarterback. This isn't a Brock Purdy thing. This isn't a Brock Purdy thing.
That's the difference, though, in the Rams and the Niners. As you said, the Rams did win a Super Bowl recently with Matthew Stafford. So the Niners, having been there twice and lost it, and then going to the playoffs year after year and not being able to advance.
And they've been there. They're right there all the time.
Niners fans they're pretty starved.
And
what has Kyle Shanahan done as a coach? He choked the Falcons Super Bowl. He choked the Chiefs in the Super Bowl twice. He lost in 2 conference championship games. He lost to the Seahawks last year. Like, he's gotten so close so many times. The Seahawks game last year was not close, but besides that, I'm wondering, if the Shanahan-Lynch partnership can ever get it done. And I think you're right that it sort of needs to come now, or no one's ever going to believe it will.
Niner fans are starved for it.
I don't even know if I think it will never come, because I think Shanahan's that good of a head coach, and Lynch is also clearly
he's that good at blowing leads in the Super Bowl. He's maybe the best there's ever been.
Sure, You're losing to Patrick Mahomes. You're losing to Patrick Mahomes.
Like, honestly, it's my dream to blow.
He's been leading in the Super Bowl 3 times at halftime and lost 3 Super Bowls.
Sure. But that's why this team's under pressure. And at some point, this group of guys, it's going to really blow up. And it may be last year. Like it may be last year where the supporting cast for Purdy just can't hang on anymore. But if they have one more run in them, the team's good enough to win the conference, to win the division, anything, right? So they're under the most pressure in the NFC.
Can I guess your AFC team?
Sure.
Bills.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
There's no other.
Nope, it's not the Bills.
No, it is. The number 2 for me would have been Baltimore, actually. And it's funny that Baltimore, you could really fit into like any category here.
Every year is the year of the Bills.
But it has to be. They're the team that gets there every season and has something horrible in the playoffs.
That's the clear option there. I
mean, I was looking the past 6 years, they've been in 4 divisional round games and they've been in 2 conference championships, and almost all of them are heartbreaking.
You wouldn't go Steelers here?
Steelers are my number 3.
Aaron Rodgers' final season. They're number 3.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't mention the obvious number 1.
In the what?
It's Kansas City.
Kansas City. I mean,
it's not Buffalo. It's not Baltimore. It's the Chiefs.
They're not under more pressure to win the Super Bowl than Baltimore.
They absolutely are. Like, this is the thing: is once you start winning enough Super Bowls, it circles back, and it's no longer we've won enough, we don't care. It's we're trying to prove that we're a real dynasty. And you can say, wow, the Chiefs sure did when Patrick Mahomes won back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs, but Mahomes is getting older. Travis Kelce, this is it. Chris Jones, this is probably it. Like, this is, I think, the last year for a while where the Chiefs will have the talent they need to win a Super Bowl. They've already let a lot of players get poached. I think there's a ton of pressure on Mahomes and the Chiefs to get out and win another Super Bowl before it's too late.
I think there's more pressure. I think there's more pressure on teams like Buffalo, Baltimore, and San Fran, though, who are right there every year and have not been there. Like that, to me, there's more pressure. But I mean, like you can put the Chiefs on the list for sure.
Yeah, I think 3 for Kansas City, or I have to put them behind Baltimore and Buffalo just because they're a dynasty.
Well, there's not a lot of pressure when you're bums and people know you're not going to win, and that's Baltimore and Buffalo right now. The Chiefs, people in Kansas City actually expect something out of their team.
Baltimore, yes, Baltimore stinks, but Buffalo, come on.
I don't mind KC, especially Kelsey's last year, right? Like there's pressure there to bounce.
They've won 3 times in the last.
But no, there's pressure, but it's clearly not more than Buffalo. It can't be more than
no way.
But Ziggy's just trying to get close with Nick for to get the cycling point done. You know what I mean? All right, guys, we'll finish it up. We'll finish it up just very quickly here.
2 quick hitters.
Colston Loveland came on Bussin with the Boys, and he said it was a good quote. He said, talking about the Packers Bears, he compared it to Michigan, Ohio State. And he said, everyone's only talking about the Packers. You can't go a day without talking about them, talking about beating them, talking about the bad things. I don't know what bad things he means. So he said it's comparable to Michigan, where it's like that's the goal in the building, right? Every single time. In Michigan beat Ohio State, the Bears beat the Packers. And what I'm saying is, should that still be the measuring stick for Chicago after the great season last year, on the cusp of the NFC Championship? Like so you say horrible, Jack?
Yeah, that's horrible. What is you're saying? You can go 3-13 and beat the Packers twice and successful.
This is how the Browns approach the regular season when it's time to play the AFC North.
Right. This is like if the Browns beat the Steelers once and they go 4-13, it's a good year.
Yeah, if I were Bears, I get what he's saying. Like, they are the team you want to beat.
But I think college is so much different.
Oh, it's way.
Like, I mean, like if you're Auburn and you finish 5-7, but you beat Bama in that final game, it's like, all right, we beat Alabama. But the NFL, like, come on.
I get.
No, and he's not saying like we'd like to beat the Packers. He's saying everyone's only talking about Green Bay in the building.
Yes.
I'll tell you what Green Bay is talking about in the building. They're talking about playing the Super Bowl in SoFi Stadium and lifting a Lombardi trophy. They're not talking about beating the Bears.
It has to be hyperbole. I can't imagine that Ben Johnson and that crew. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine that. Chicago,
it sure looked like it last year. They were ready to.
Well, last year, yeah,
and
it is a problem if that's actually because he came out in the press conference, right? Talked about LaFleur. He said, fuck the Packers. Like that was all very clear. And that's a big accomplishment for Chicago, beating the boogeyman. But if this season's, it can't be the same this year. Like you've moved past that. You need to move past that. And I think that this was more playful and kind of, on Bussin' with the boys having fun. But if it is the case where it's like, one goal should be beat the Packers every year if you're a Bears fan or Bears player. But the main goal right now in Chicago is win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Ziggy, last thing, and then we'll wrap it up.
The Minnesota Vikings apparently had such an impressive offseason last year and such an impressive year that Maxx Crosby felt the need to steal the Jonathan Grenard "more is required" motto. He just put it out on his Twitter, "more is required." I don't know why you're trying to channel the Minnesota Vikings energy from the 2025 season, but back off. That's our motto. Jonathan Grenard gave it to us.
You can have
it
that
belongs
motto.
to us.
Clearly didn't work.
Well, look. The Raiders, if they're trying to take the Vikings, the Raiders would sign up for a Vikings-like season. What, 8-9?
Yeah, you're right. They can have it. We don't want that motto this year.
That'd be awesome for the Raiders.
Vegas, you take it. All right, we'll wrap up there. We got again episode coming out on Thursday as well, and then next week the Ziggy decision final episode will be live. Maybe that'll be a live stream on Thursday, and possibly probably an episode as well next Tuesday. So more stuff coming. Thanks guys for tuning in. And nice job, guys. Fun episode. We'll see you on Thursday.